October 14th, 2025, a U.S. Navy destroyer cuts through calm Caribbean waters. 3 hypersonic missiles scream toward it at Mach 2.6. Within hours, American bombers would turn the Venezuelan capital into a burning crater. This is the story of how one attack triggered a precision strike that changed everything. The Caribbean Sea stretched blue and silent. 90 nautical miles north of Venezuela, the USS Thomas Hudner, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer worth $2.2 billion, maintained routine patrol. On board, 320 sailors stood at their posts. None knew the next few minutes would alter history. At 8:40 a.m., deep inside a Venezuelan command center near Portico, a radar technician froze, an American contact. Sharp, defined, unmistakable. Tension erupted in the control room. Voices clashed. Was the ship violating their waters or simply passing through international corridors? On the bridge of a Venezuelan patrol vessel, a single order shattered the chaos. Fire. 3 P-800 Onyx hypersonic missiles roared skyward. Each weighed 6,600 pounds. Each carried the explosive power of 18 tons of TNT. Each moved at Mach 2.6. Too fast for hesitation, too deadly for mistakes. Alarms screamed aboard the Thomas Hudner. Red lights flashed across every console. The crew launched 4 SM-6 interceptors, America's most advanced naval defense system. 2 Onyx warheads disintegrated mid-air, leaving vapor trails across the Caribbean sky. But one punched through. It slammed into the deck near the aft launcher. Steel split like paper. Fire rolled across the bow. The ship listed, then stabilized, smoke rising against the horizon. 3 sailors killed instantly, 24 injured, 12 key systems disabled. The sea fell silent again, but only for a moment. Because when American blood is spilled, silence is the last thing that follows. Within minutes, the message reached Washington. Within the hour, the response was already forming. For months, the Caribbean had been a flashpoint. Venezuelan blockades, maritime standoffs, patrols shadowing U.S. convoys carrying vital cargo through international waters. The region was a floating minefield of pride, politics, and power. Caracas had recently expanded its claimed maritime borders by 180 nautical miles, a move condemned by nearly every nation in the hemisphere. The United States called it illegal. Venezuela called it sovereignty. The truth was simpler. It was provocation. Washington had issued 4 warnings, each ignored, each more direct than the last. The Thomas Hudner was deployed to protect trade arteries carrying more than $2.3 billion in American goods every week. Its radar could detect threats from hundreds of miles away. Its crew trained for every scenario, except being attacked without warning by a nation-state. When the missiles came, there was no time for diplomacy, only reaction. At 9 a.m., the distress call reached the Pentagon. By 9:30, the United States knew a Navy destroyer had been deliberately targeted and struck, not by rogues, not by accident, a declaration in all but words. The world shifted. If one American ship could be hit in the Caribbean, no water was safe. By 9 a.m., every screen in the White House Situation Room flashed red. Phones confiscated, doors sealed. The nation's most powerful leaders gathered around a glowing map of the Caribbean. President Donald J. Trump entered without a word. Across the table sat the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the CIA director, and senior Pentagon leadership. No one needed to explain the stakes. This was a direct act of war inside the Western Hemisphere. Satellite footage confirmed the launch site, a Venezuelan naval base near Puerto Cabello. 3 missile signatures, 1 impact, all verified. Then came the words that broke the silence. They hit first, now we hit smart. That sentence became doctrine. Within minutes, U.S. Strategic Command began drafting a measured counterstrike. Its name, Operation Freedom Thunder. The objective was twofold. First, eliminate the network responsible for the attack. Second, reassert America's absolute control over freedom of navigation in the Caribbean. But as the Pentagon prepared retaliation, new intelligence emerged, a discovery that transformed this from a regional conflict into something much darker. Hours before the strike order was signed, U.S. cyber intelligence intercepted a classified transmission from Venezuela's National Assembly. The content stunned Washington. Encrypted documents and satellite imagery exposed a vast smuggling network run by President Nicolas Maduro and his inner circle. Weapons, cocaine, military components stolen from Russia and China, all shipped under the cover of humanitarian aid. Cargo containers marked with red crosses. Inside them, crates of assault rifles and bags of pure cocaine. For years, this network had used disguised maritime corridors to move contraband directly into American ports. The same vessels that carried food and medicine also carried poison. To Washington, this was no longer just an attack at sea. It was infiltration, an assault on American security and sovereignty itself. In the intelligence brief delivered to the president that afternoon, one phrase was underlined twice. This is not provocation. This is organized crime disguised as government. Trump's response was immediate. He approved the strike authorization at 5:17 p.m. At 5:20, a single coded message was sent to Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana. 3 words, Freedom Thunder active. At sunset, 2 B52s Stratofortress bombers lifted off from Barksdale, each one a flying arsenal built to carry vengeance across oceans. Their escort, 2 F-35 Lightning II stealth fighters, silent and invisible on radar. Alongside them, a Navy EA-18G Growler, the spearhead of electronic warfare. Its purpose, blind the enemy before the bombers ever appeared. Call signs, Bunny 01 and Bunny 02. Destination, Caracas. The strike package flew south at 35,000 feet, refueled midair by a KC-135 tanker. 7 hours across the Gulf and Caribbean. No radio chatter, no identification lights, nothing but the low hum of engines and the glow of instruments. At 7:35 a.m., the Growler unleashed a full-spectrum electronic attack. Venezuelan radars lit up with ghost signals. Hundreds of phantom aircraft darting in every direction. Every lock attempt failed. Every echo was a lie. Through that chaos, the real bombers advanced unseen. Bunny 01 locked its target, the National Assembly Building, central Caracas, command hub of the regime, symbol of its power. At 7:45 a.m., the order came through. Release payload. From 35,000 feet, 5 GBU-31 JDAM bunker busters fell silently into the morning haze. Each weighed 2,000 pounds, each programmed to strike within a 10-foot margin of error. The first bomb hit the center wing. Concrete disintegrated on impact. The second ripped through underground command bunkers, buried 30 feet deep. The third detonated in the west wing, collapsing steel beams and fuel lines. The last 2 struck simultaneously, a perfect double impact that triggered an explosion felt across 6 city blocks. For a moment, time stopped. Then came the fire. A fireball rose 120 feet into the air. The shockwave shattered glass towers. Debris rained across the city. Caracas was burning. Power grid collapsed. Communication lines went dark. Dozens injured. 2 senior naval officers confirmed dead. 12 senior political staff hospitalized. President Maduro was not in the building, but the message had already found him. Above the chaos, the American bombers turned north. No counterfire, no pursuit, no losses. The entire operation lasted 7 minutes. Every bomb hit its mark. Not a single American aircraft touched. It wasn't revenge, it was precision, a warning written in fire. By the time the sun rose over Caracas, the world had changed. The National Assembly was gone. Smoke hung over the city like a shroud. Power grids failing. Cell networks silent. At 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, President Trump addressed the nation from the White House. "The United States did not start this war," he said, "but we stopped the threat." Behind him, intelligence charts displayed cocaine pipelines from Venezuela to Florida, satellite images of weapons caches hidden under humanitarian warehouses. Proof that the attack on the Thomas Hudner was part of a larger criminal empire masquerading as a government. The international response was immediate. NATO members issued formal support. 25 nations froze diplomatic ties with Caracas. Insurance premiums for ships near Venezuelan waters tripled overnight. Inside Venezuela, panic spread. Civilians fled government districts. Hospitals overflowed. Blackouts swept 3 provinces. For the first time, the regime's voice, once loud and defiant, was gone. 72 hours after the ambush, the Caribbean was calm again, but not the calm of peace. The silence that follows a scream. The wreck of the Thomas Hudner had been stabilized. Her flag still flew, and that alone carried more weight than any speech. Operation Freedom Thunder wasn't about revenge. It was a statement of doctrine. That freedom of navigation is not negotiable. That American deterrence is not a bluff. And that every attack will meet a response measured in precision, not hesitation. No American lives were lost in the counterstrike. Every bomb hit its target. Every strike recorded, verified, and justified. Caracas may rebuild its walls. It may craft new speeches, new flags, new illusions. But the crater in its capital will speak longer than any politician ever could. A reminder, when warnings go unheeded, when pride replaces prudence, and when nations mistake patience for weakness, consequences follow faster than diplomacy. The sea remembers, the sky remembers, and the world remembers who commands them both. If you found this story as intense as we did, hit that subscribe button and join the Navy Nerds community. We bring you the most gripping stories from naval warfare, aviation, and defense technology. The operations the world needs to know about. Don't miss the next mission. Subscribe now.